The planet Xylos hummed with a low, thrumming energy, a sound that resonated not just in the air but seemed to vibrate through the very chitinous exoskeletons of its native inhabitants, the Kryll. The Kryll were a species defined by their rigid adherence to procedure. Every aspect of their lives, from nutrient paste consumption to the intricate dance of mating rituals, was governed by meticulously documented protocols. Their society was a symphony of clicks and whirs, the sounds of their internal chronometers dictating their precise movements. Xylos itself was a world sculpted by these routines, towering crystalline structures, grown rather than built, mirrored. The Krylls ordered minds. The atmosphere, thick with mineral particulates, cast an eternal twilight, illuminated by the twin moons that followed predictable, unwavering paths across the sky. Even the weather patterns were managed, thanks to a network of atmospheric regulators that ensured optimal conditions for Kryll productivity. And then, there was Dave. Dave wasn't supposed to be there. Not on Xylos, not anywhere remotely resembling this geometrically oppressive landscape. 1 minute he was calibrating his experimental zero-G Margarita mixer in his garage back in suburban Ohio. The next, he was sprawled face-first in a nutrient sludge pond, surrounded by clicking, chitinous figures. His arrival hadn't been graceful, more like a cosmic belch. The Kryll, naturally, were not amused. Protocol 729, subsection Delta, paragraph 14 clearly stated, unscheduled extraplanetary materializations are to be met with immediate containment and procedural assessment. Dave, picking himself up and wiping green goo from his beard, surveyed his surroundings with a casual disinterest that bordered on performance art. Well, this is a new one, he muttered, squinting at the towering crystalline structures. Looks like someone went a little overboard with the rock candy. The Kryll officer, designated Unit 734 Omega, emitted a series of rapid clicks, the Kryll equivalent of a stern lecture. You are in violation of Galactic Bylaw 47 Theta, subparagraph. Dave cut him off with a wave of his hand. Look, pal, I got no idea what you're saying, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing the second half of a Jimmy Buffett song, right? Now, anyone got a blender? Unit 734 Omega's antennae twitched in what, to a human observer, might have resembled a frown. The Kryll gestured with a sharpened appendage towards a holding cell, a geodesic dome humming with an unsettling energy. Dave shrugged. All right, keep your pincers on. Just point me to the bathroom first, yeah? This nutrient sludge is playing havoc with my everything. His utter lack of decorum, his complete disregard for established procedure, sent ripples of unease through the Kryll ranks. They simply couldn't process this. Human. He didn't seem to grasp the gravity of his situation, the sheer audacity of his unscheduled arrival. Was this ignorance, or some form of elaborate defiance? They didn't know, but they were about to find out. After a period of what Dave could only describe as aggressive clicking and pointing, the Kryll escorted him to a chamber deep within their crystalline city. It was a stark room, dominated by a single object resting on a raised platform, a pulsating, obsidian obelisk humming with an almost palpable energy. This, Dave gathered from the reverent clicks and hushed tones of the Kryll, was a very important thing. The Kryll clearly regarded the obelisk with something akin to religious awe. Unit 734 Omega, or Omega as Dave had decided to call him for simplicity's sake, a decision that earned him a particularly sharp click, gestured towards the device with a trembling appendage. This is the great Resonator, Omega chirped. It is the source of our everything. Dave, unimpressed, circled the obelisk, whistling softly. Huh, looks kinda like a fancy paperweight. Does it, like, play music or something? He reached out and tapped the obsidian surface, eliciting a chorus of horrified gasps from the Kryll. Do not touch the Resonator, Omega shrieked, his clicks reaching a fever pitch. Its energy sustains our civilization. It regulates the atmospheric harmonics. It maintains the proper consistency of the nutrient paste. Dave blinked. Nutrient paste, huh? Is that the green stuff I was swimming in earlier? Could use a little more, I don't know, pizzazz. He leaned closer to the Resonator, peering at its pulsating surface. You know, I bet I could get this thing to make actual food, not just paste. Before Omega could react, Dave pulled out a multi-tool from his pocket, a dented, well-worn device that had seen better days, and began fiddling with the resonator's base. Sparks flew, the humming intensified, and the Kryll recoiled in collective horror. "What do you think you are doing?" Omega cried, his antennae practically vibrating off his head. "You are tampering with forces you cannot possibly comprehend." Dave, oblivious to the rising panic, simply shrugged. "Just a little tweak here, a little adjustment there. You know, giving it a little love. This thing's got potential, I can feel it." He rummaged through his multi-tool, pulling out a small, oddly shaped attachment. "Now, where's that? Ah, here it is. The universal flavorizer." The Kryll watched, paralyzed by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, as Dave attached the device to the great resonator. The obelisk shuddered. The humming deepened into a resonant thrum, and a faint scent of something began to fill the chamber. It smelled vaguely of barbecue. The aroma of barbecue hanging in the Kryll's sterile chamber was the first crack in the dam of their rigid society. The unsettling scent, combined with the erratic flickering of the great resonator, sent ripples of unease through the Kryll collective. Omega, usually a picture of stoic military discipline, began twitching uncontrollably. Dave, completely oblivious to the growing tension, continued his tinkering, humming along to a tune only he could hear. He adjusted dials, tightened screws, and occasionally licked his finger to test the wind, completely absorbed in his self-appointed task of improving the Kryll's paperweight. Whispers, or rather frantic clicks, spread through the Kryll ranks. They spoke of the Unmaker, the Harbinger of Chaos, and other titles that Dave would have found flattering if he'd understood them. Unit 801 Gamma, a particularly zealous Kryll, even suggested activating the emergency self-destruct sequence for the entire crystalline city, just to be safe. The Kryll High Council, a collective of the oldest and most calcified Kryll, convened an emergency session. Debates raged, antennae waggled furiously, and accusations flew faster than a swarm of spaceflies. The central question: what to do with this unpredictable, barbecue-scented human? Some argued for immediate termination. The human was clearly a threat to the stability of their civilization, a walking, talking violation of every Kryll law and custom. Others, more cautious, suggested observation. Perhaps this strange behavior was some sort of elaborate test, a cosmic riddle designed to challenge their intellect. Omega, caught between his military duty and a growing sense of existential dread, volunteered to observe Dave more closely. He assigned a squad of Kryll soldiers to monitor the human's every move, though what they were supposed to do if Dave started, say, tap dancing on the great resonator remained unclear. Dave, meanwhile, was blissfully unaware of the turmoil he was causing. He continued to tweak and adjust the resonator, occasionally pausing to admire his handiwork. "Almost there," he muttered. "Just need a little zing." He pulled out a small bottle of what appeared to be hot sauce from his pocket. "This should do the trick." The Kryll soldiers, watching from a safe distance, exchanged nervous clicks. Hot sauce? What unholy substance was this? Was it some kind of weapon? A biological agent? A particularly potent form of nutrient paste? As Dave unscrewed the cap of the hot sauce bottle, Omega made a decision. He couldn't stand by and watch this human desecrate their most sacred artifact any longer. He stepped forward, his chitinous armor gleaming under the dim chamber lights. "Human," he chirped, his voice trembling slightly. "Stop. You are violating the prime directive of intergalactic harmony." Dave looked up, surprised. "Prime directive? Is that like a suggestion? Because I'm pretty sure adding hot sauce to this thing is going to make it way more harmonious." He grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Trust me, you guys are going to love this." Omega swallowed hard. He had a very bad feeling about this. A feeling that the great resonator was about to become a very, very great barbecue. Omega's declaration hung in the air, thick with the weight of Kryll law and the lingering scent of smoky ribs. Behind him, the assembled Kryll soldiers shifted nervously, their energy rifles charged but their mandibles twitching with uncertainty. They had never faced a threat quite like this, one armed with hot sauce and an utter disregard for galactic protocol. Dave, mid-pour, paused, the bottle of hot sauce tilted precariously over the great resonator. He glanced at Omega, a bemused expression on his face. Violating, what now? Look, pal, I'm just trying to help you guys out. This thing was kinda bland. He punctuated his sentence with a generous squirt of crimson liquid onto the resonator's central node. A collective gasp rippled through the Kryll ranks. Unit 801 Gamma fainted, collapsing in a heap of chitin and despair. Omega, struggling to maintain his composure, pointed a trembling antenna at Dave. You are accused, he declared, his voice cracking, of defiling the sacred resonator, disrupting the harmonic convergence, and generally being un-Kryll-like. Dave blinked. Un-Kryll-like? Is that even a thing? And hey, I haven't defiled anything. I've just added a little oomph. He capped the hot sauce bottle and stepped back, admiring his handiwork. The resonator, now glistening with a thin layer of hot sauce, hummed with a slightly different, more vibrant energy. Demonstrate, Omega commanded, his voice barely a whisper. Show us the consequences of your actions. He braced himself for the worst. Visions of interdimensional rifts, the collapse of space-time, and perhaps even a slightly spicier nutrient-paste ration filled his mind. Dave shrugged, completely missing the gravity of the situation. All right, don't get your antennae in a twist. He sauntered over to the resonator and with a casual flick of his wrist activated the device. Instead of a cataclysmic explosion or a tear in the fabric of reality, the great resonator began to sing. Not a deep resonant hum as before, but a jaunty upbeat tune like a cosmic mariachi band tuning up for a fiesta. Colorful lights danced across its surface, and a faint aroma of limes filled the air. Dave grinned, pleased with himself. Ta-da, I fixed it. Now it makes margaritas. He gestured grandly at the machine. A small nozzle extended from the base of the resonator, dispensing a frosty green liquid into a waiting receptacle. Anyone want a taste? The Kryll stared, their multifaceted eyes wide with disbelief. The music, the lights, the aroma of limes? It was an affront to everything they held sacred, a sensory overload of the most horrifying kind. Omega felt his mandibles twitch uncontrollably. This was not the power, not the solemn duty, not the resonance he had dedicated his life to upholding. Margaritas? Omega croaked, the word alien and repulsive on his tongue. What is the meaning of this? Margaritas. He envisioned them, perhaps, as some form of biological weapon, a subtly poisonous concoction designed to undermine Kryll society, from within with cheerfulness. Dave, oblivious to the existential crisis unfolding before him, took a long sip of his freshly made margarita. It's a drink, dude. You know, for fun. Lime juice, tequila. Well, I substituted the tequila with that industrial solvent you guys use for cleaning. But close enough, right? He offered the glass to Omega. Try it. It's got a real kick. Omega recoiled as if offered a vial of concentrated space plague. Fun? Drink? These concepts are illogical. The Great Resonator is not a fun device. It is a tool of profound consequence, a key to maintaining galactic stability. His antennae drooped further. Had centuries of Kryll tradition been built upon a foundation of alcoholic beverages? The truth was almost too absurd to comprehend. The Great Resonator, revered for generations as a device of immense power, was, in reality, a sophisticated cocktail maker. The Kryll had mistaken its ability to mix ingredients and emit sonic vibrations for something meaningful. Their entire culture, their rigid structure, their militaristic focus, all stemmed from a colossal misunderstanding. The mariachi music swelled, the lights flashed, and the aroma of limes intensified. Dave, completely unaware of the chaos he had unleashed, began to dance a jig, swaying to the rhythm of the repurposed resonator. "Come on, Omega, loosen up, have a margarita." He thrust another glass towards the horrified Kryll leader, a symbol of humanity's casual disregard for galactic order and the ultimate, hilarious truth. Sometimes the most powerful things are just meant to make a good drink. The Kryll homeworld descended into chaos. The revelation that the Great Resonator was nothing more than a glorified cocktail machine shattered their rigid social structure. Kryll philosophers, their multifaceted eyes twitching in confusion, debated the implications of a universe where purpose could be so frivolous. Entire academies dedicated to the Resonator's power dissolved into pointless arguments about the best lime-to-solvent ratio. Omega, stripped of his authority and grappling with an existential hangover, watched as his once orderly society crumbled under the weight of Margarita-induced anarchy. Some Kryll embraced the newfound freedom, experimenting with bizarre drink combinations and forming impromptu dance circles. Others, clinging to the old ways, declared Dave a heretic and demanded the immediate cessation of fun. Dave, meanwhile, remained blissfully ignorant. He'd set up a makeshift bar in the resonator chamber, serving up a variety of concoctions to anyone who was brave enough to try them. He even started taking requests, attempting to replicate Earth beverages using whatever strange alien ingredients he could find. "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any, space cranberries, would you?" The long-term consequences were unpredictable, to say the least. The Kryll military, once a symbol of galactic dominance, began incorporating Margarita breaks into their training exercises. Diplomatic relations with other species suffered as Kryll ambassadors, fueled by industrial solvent cocktails, engaged in bizarre and often offensive displays of cultural exchange. The galaxy held its breath, wondering if the Kryll, once a terrifying force, would devolve into a species of perpetually tipsy party animals. And what of the Great Resonator? Well, it continued to churn out margaritas, its flashing lights and mariachi music a constant reminder of the day a human stumbled into Kryll society and accidentally revealed the universe's greatest joke. Some say, on quiet nights, you can still hear the faint strains of La Cucaracha echoing through the cosmos, a testament to the enduring power of a well-made cocktail and humanity's uncanny ability to turn even the most serious situations into a reason to celebrate.